Picture a graph with two lines climbing a mountain. The first line is bright green. It represents your income. It starts small, dips a little during training, and then shoots straight up into the sky. This is the doctor's salary, the lawyer's salary, the executive's salary. But right next to it, almost touching it, is a red line. This line represents your spending. Here is the terrifying truth about high-income professions. The problem is not that they do not make money. They make lots of money. The problem is that the red line chases the green line with magnetic precision. As income jumps from $60,000 to $300,000, spending jumps to $299,000 almost overnight. The two lines move together, always parallel, always close. And here is what most people do not understand. Your wealth does not live in the green line. Your wealth lives in the tiny gap between the two lines. You can earn $4 million over a decade and have a net worth of exactly zero. Because if your spending equals your income, nothing stays. Today, we are going to look at why doctors are the perfect case study for this trap. But this applies to anyone with high income potential. Engineers, lawyers, business owners, executives. The mechanics of the trap are exactly the same. In fact, the higher your income potential, the harder this trap snaps shut. We are going to break down the psychology, the math, and the specific structural failures that keep high earners broke. And then we are going to look at the specific strategy that can fix it. There is a cultural assumption that becoming a doctor is the golden ticket. We see the title, we see the white coat, we see the nice parking spot at the hospital. We assume wealth. But here's something most people do not understand. Wealth and income are cousins, not twins. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what stays. And for many physicians, nothing stays. The white coat investor, a respected financial resource for doctors, points out that typical physicians earn anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000 per year. That puts them in the top tax brackets in America. Yet data shows that about 25% of physicians have a net worth under $1 million, even after decades of working. Think about that math. You could earn $10 million gross over a career and end up with less than 1/10 of it to show for your effort. Where does it all go? Morgan Housel addresses this in The Psychology of Money. He writes that there is no amount of money that guarantees wealth. Wealth is the difference between what you earn and what you spend, period. A doctor earning $300,000 who spends $290,000 is less wealthy than a teacher earning $50,000 who spends $30,000. The teacher has $20,000 per year flowing into wealth. The doctor only has $10,000. Income creates the opportunity for wealth. Behavior determines whether you capture it. Most people start their financial race at zero. Doctors start in a hole so deep you cannot see daylight. Let me tell you about a woman named Allison. Allison just finished medical school. She is 26 years old. She has been training to be a doctor for 8 years. Allison has $247,000 in student loan debt. This is not unusual. The median medical school debt for recent graduates is around $200,000. Many specialists have $300,000 or more, and this is not interest-free money. These loans are growing while Allison is in residency, making $60,000 per year and working 80 hours per week. By the time Allison becomes a full physician, the moment the big paycheck finally arrives, she is technically insolvent. Her net worth is negative $250,000. She is in her early 30s, she has zero assets, she has massive debt, and she has lost the most powerful decade for compound interest. Meanwhile, her college roommate who became a teacher started at zero net worth at age 22. That friend has been saving and investing for 10 years already. Allison has to sprint just to get back to the starting line where the teacher started a decade ago. J.L. Collins writes about this in The Simple Path to Wealth. He explains that debt is an emergency. It is a hole you must climb out of before you can build anything. But the psychological pressure of being so far behind creates a dangerous state of mind. Let me continue Allison's story. Allison spent her 20s inside libraries and hospital wards. She missed weddings because she was on call. She skipped vacations because she could not afford them. She ate cafeteria food while her college friends were buying houses and driving nice cars. Allison delayed gratification for over a decade. Then that first real paycheck hits. Maybe it is $20,000 in a single month, and the dam breaks. This is not about greed, this is about relief. It is a psychological release valve. Allison feels she is owed a lifestyle. She tells herself, I am a doctor now. I should live like a doctor. So instead of using that income to aggressively fill the debt hole, the money gets diverted immediately to visible markers of success. A nice apartment in a good neighborhood, a new car that looks professional, dinners at good restaurants, vacations to make up for the lost decade. The reasoning feels sound in the moment. Allison worked hard, she suffered, she deserves the nice things. But this emotional reaction is exactly what keeps the spending line glued to the income line. Dan Ariely wrote about this in Predictably Irrational. He explained that we do not make financial decisions based on logic, we make them based on emotions and relative comparisons. Allison is comparing her life now to her life in residency. Any improvement feels justified, but she should be comparing her spending to her debt. And by that measure, she is moving backward. The first step to fixing this is admitting the hole exists. If you have negative net worth, you are not rich. You are a high-income poor person. That sounds harsh, but it is the necessary reframe. If you think student loans are the main problem, you are wrong. Loans are simple math. You can pay them off. The real killer is what happens to your fixed expenses the moment you sign that first big contract. Let me tell you about a man named Preston. Preston just became an attending physician. He will earn $320,000 this year. Preston immediately makes 3 decisions. Decision 1, he buys a house in a nice neighborhood, 4 bedrooms, good school district. The mortgage, property taxes, and insurance total $6,000 per month. Decision 2, he leases 2 cars, one for himself, one for his wife. Luxury SUV and a nice sedan. Total payment $1,500 per month. Decision 3, he enrolls his 2 kids in private school. Total cost $4,000 per month. Just these 3 decisions cost Preston $11,500 per month. Before he buys groceries, before he pays utilities, before he puts gas in those cars. Add student loan payments of $3,000 per month. Preston has spent $14,500 before his first trip to the grocery store. His take-home pay after taxes and benefits is about $18,000 per month. He has $3,500 left for food, utilities, travel, clothing, entertainment, and investing. Preston makes $320,000 per year, and he is living paycheck to paycheck. This is lifestyle inflation. And once these expenses are locked in with contracts and mortgages, Preston cannot budget his way out. Let me define lifestyle inflation clearly. Lifestyle inflation is when your spending rises in direct proportion to your income, ensuring your savings rate stays the same or gets worse. For a normal earner, lifestyle inflation might mean buying name-brand groceries instead of generic. For a high earner, lifestyle inflation means structural upgrades that come with contracts. The jump from a rented apartment to a mortgage on a large house, the jump from an old Honda to a lease on a Tesla, these are not one-time purchases. They are new baselines. Once you move into the bigger house, you need to furnish it, you need to heat it, you need to landscape it, you need to maintain it. The spending line does not drift up slowly. It teleports to a new level and locks in there. Ramit Sethi addresses this in I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He points out that your big decisions matter infinitely more than your small decisions. Cutting lattes saves you maybe $1,000 per year. Choosing the wrong house costs you $50,000 per year. The math is not even close. Yet people obsess over small purchases while making catastrophic decisions on housing, cars, and education. Why do smart people sign up for this math? It comes back to stress. According to a 2023 survey by the American Medical Association, 81% of physicians report feeling overworked. When you work an 80-hour week dealing with life and death, you come home emotionally depleted. You do not have the energy to compare shops. You do not have the bandwidth to negotiate. You do not have the mental space to think strategically about money. You want convenience. You want comfort. You want relief. This leads to what I call soothing spending. You order expensive takeout because you are too tired to cook. You book the luxury resort vacation because you need to escape, not just travel. You buy the expensive car because the commute is your only alone time and you want it to feel like a sanctuary. This is the I earned it trap. And to be fair, you did earn it. You worked for the money. But by spending it on fixed comforts to soothe your stress, you ensure that you have to keep working that stressful job forever to pay for those comforts. It is a perfect closed loop. Morgan Housel describes this trap in The Psychology of Money. He writes that many people use money to buy things that are supposed to make them happy, but actually make them more dependent on earning money. The car you bought to enjoy your commute now requires you to keep commuting. Breaking this cycle requires a hard rule on fixed obligations. The rule is simple: never upgrade a fixed cost immediately after a raise. When your income jumps, your fixed expenses must stay flat for at least 12 months. You can buy a nice dinner, you can buy new clothes. Those are one-time variable costs. But you cannot sign a contract. You cannot take on a mortgage. You cannot lease a car. This 12-month cooling-off period breaks the emotional link between more stress and more stuff. It forces you to prove that you can save the difference first. If you can save the surplus for a year, then you can consider upgrading. But usually after a year, the impulse fades. You realize the smaller house is fine. You realize the older car works perfectly. You realize the freedom of having cash in the bank feels better than the status of having nice things. Let me tell you about a woman named Shanice. Shanice became an attending physician at age 31. Her salary jumped from $65,000 to $280,000. Shanice followed the rule. She kept her residency lifestyle for 2 years. She stayed in her modest apartment. She drove her old car. She lived on about $70,000 per year. She saved over $200,000 per year. In 2 years, Shanice paid off her entire student loan debt. She also saved enough for a substantial down payment on a house. When Shanice finally upgraded her lifestyle at age 33, she did it from a position of strength. No debt, significant savings, financial security. She bought a house she could easily afford. She bought a car with cash. The 12-month rule, which Shanice extended to 2 years, completely changed her financial trajectory. Most financial advice tells you to focus on small stuff. Stop buying coffee, cancel Netflix. Let me tell you the opposite. Buy the coffee, keep Netflix. The reason high earners go broke has nothing to do with $5 purchases. It is entirely driven by 3 specific decisions that act as status symbols. If you get these 3 things wrong, no amount of budgeting will save you. If you get them right, you can spend whatever you want on lattes. The 3 traps are house, car, school for high earners. These are not just expenses. They are badges of rank. There is immense social pressure to signal your status to your peers. If you are a surgeon, you are expected to drive a certain type of car into the hospital parking lot. If you live in a certain zip code, you are expected to send your kids to the expensive private school. Thomas Stanley studied this for decades for his book, The Millionaire Next Door. He found that many high-income people are actually low wealth because they spend their money on visible status symbols instead of building invisible assets. The doctor driving the luxury car might have a lower net worth than the plumber driving the pickup truck. The plumber kept his money, the doctor displayed his money. Let us look at the actual numbers. The car, a standard reliable car, costs about $30,000. A doctor car, a luxury SUV or sports sedan, costs about $90,000 over 5 years, including insurance, premium gas, and depreciation. The luxury car costs effectively 3 times the standard one. That is an extra $60,000. $60,000 that builds zero wealth. The house, a reasonable house, might cost $400,000 with a mortgage payment of about $2,500 per month. A doctor house might cost $1 million with a mortgage payment of about $6,500 per month. That is $4,000 extra per month, $48,000 extra per year, for decades. Plus the bigger house needs more furniture, more heating, more maintenance, more landscaping. Private school costs $20,000 to $40,000 per kid per year, paid with after-tax dollars. To pay a $30,000 tuition bill, you need to earn nearly $50,000 gross. If you have 3 kids, that is $150,000 of your salary gone just to cover school. When you stack house, car, and school, you have accounted for 80% of your take-home pay before you have bought groceries. Deep down, the spending is often driven by imposter syndrome. Physicians are high achievers who are terrified of failure or looking incompetent. Displaying wealth is a shortcut to saying, "I made it. I am successful. Look at my driveway." It shields the ego. It is uncomfortable to be the high earner driving a 10-year-old Toyota. It raises questions. People wonder if you are struggling. That social friction is real. It takes a very strong internal compass to ignore it. But here is the irony. The colleagues flashing the expensive cars are often the ones most stressed about money. They are financing their status. By copying them, you are just copying their anxiety. You are competing in a game where the prize is golden handcuffs. Robert Kiyosaki addresses this in Rich Dad Poor Dad. He explains the difference between assets and liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. A luxury car is a liability. It takes money out every month. But we treat it like an asset because it signals status. The fix is to reframe what you are buying. Instead of asking, "What does a doctor drive?" ask, "What does this car cost me in freedom?" Let me teach you a concept that can change how you think about spending. Price things in freedom units, not dollars. A freedom unit is a day of work you will have to do to pay for something. Let us say you earn $1,000 per day after taxes. A $60,000 boat costs 60 days of your life. That is 2 months of waking up early, 2 months of dealing with stress, 2 months of missing time with your family. Is the boat worth 2 months of working? Maybe it is. If you love boating, go for it. But for most status purchases, the watch, the third car, the expensive furniture, the trade-off is not worth it when you price it in freedom units. Let me tell you about a man named Curtis. Curtis is an orthopedic surgeon. He earns $400,000 per year. Curtis was about to buy a luxury watch for $32,000. Then Curtis did the math. At his daily rate after taxes, the watch cost him about 40 days of work. Curtis asked himself, "Is this watch worth 40 days of my life?" The answer was no. Curtis bought a nice watch for $2,000 instead. He invested the remaining $30,000, invested for 20 years at 7% returns, will become over $116,000. Curtis traded a status symbol for future freedom. When you start pricing things in days of life lost rather than dollars, your spending line naturally flattens out. Let me show you the difference between lifestyle inflation and lifestyle control. We will look at 2 physicians, same hospital, same specialty, same salary, completely different outcomes. Dr. A. Mitchell. Mitchell lands a job paying $350,000 per year. Mitchell immediately upgrades everything. Nice house, nice cars, private school, country club membership. His spending line teleports up to match his income line. The gap between his income and spending is about 5%. He saves maybe $17,000 per year. After 10 years, Mitchell has saved about $170,000. With investment growth, maybe $250,000 total. But Mitchell needs about $10 million to retire because his lifestyle is so expensive. At his current savings rate, Mitchell will need to work until he is 75 years old. Mitchell is making $350,000 per year and will work until he drops. Dr. B. Jasmine makes the same $350,000 per year, but Jasmine makes a different decision. She was living on $60,000 as a resident. She decides she can comfortably live on $120,000 as an attending. She doubles her lifestyle, which feels amazing, but she caps it there. Her spending line goes flat at $120,000. Her income line keeps rising. The gap between the two lines becomes a massive wedge. Jasmine is saving and investing over $200,000 per year. In the first year, the difference is noticeable. By year 5, thanks to compound interest, her net worth line is going parabolic. After 10 years, Jasmine has invested over $2 million. With growth, maybe $3 million? But here is the key insight. Because Jasmine's spending is lower, her retirement number is lower too. Mitchell needs $10 million to sustain his expensive lifestyle. Jasmine only needs about $3 million to sustain hers. Jasmine is attacking a smaller enemy with a bigger army. Jasmine reaches financial independence in her mid-40s. Mitchell might never reach it. Let me describe what this looks like visually. On a graph, the x-axis is years. The y-axis is dollars. Mitchell's graph shows a green income line and a red spending line moving together, almost touching. The white space between them, the net worth wedge, is razor thin. Mitchell is saving a tiny sliver of his income. Jasmine's graph looks completely different. Her green income line rises, but her red spending line stays flat after an initial bump. The white space between them gets wider and wider every year. That growing wedge is Jasmine's freedom. J.L. Collins puts it simply in The Simple Path to Wealth. Wealth is not about the height of your income line. It is about the width of the gap between income and spending. The gap is everything. How do you actually execute Jasmine's strategy? You do not do it with willpower. Willpower fails. You do it with automation. Set up a system where the wedge money never hits your checking account. It goes directly from your payroll into investment accounts and debt payments. You literally hide the money from yourself. You learn to run your life on the remaining post-savings amount. If the money is not in your checking account, you cannot spend it on a heated driveway. You artificially create scarcity. You make yourself feel financially tight in your checking account while your net worth explodes in the background. Ramit Sethi calls this automating your finances in I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He says the key to building wealth is making it automatic, so you do not have to make decisions. Every decision is an opportunity to make a mistake. Remove the decisions. Remove the mistakes. Let me tell you about a couple named Dennis and Courtney. Dennis and Courtney are both physicians. Combined income of $500,000 per year. They set up automatic transfers. Every month, $30,000 leaves their checking account before they can touch it. $20,000 goes to investments. $10,000 goes to extra debt payments. Dennis and Courtney learned to live on what remained. Some months they felt tight, but that tightness was artificial. In the background, they were becoming wealthy at an incredible rate. After 7 years, Dennis and Courtney have zero debt and over $2 million invested. They could both work part-time now if they wanted to. That is the power of automation. There is one more trap that catches high earners. They are often targeted by bad financial advisors. High earners are seen as whales. High income, low knowledge. Easy to sell expensive products too. Physicians in particular get sold expensive whole life insurance policies, high-fee investment products, and complicated financial schemes. Part of keeping your net worth high is educating yourself. You do not need to be a Wall Street expert. You just need to understand the basics. Low-cost index funds. Tax-advantaged accounts. The difference between a fiduciary who must act in your interest and a salesperson who acts in their own interest. Taking 10 hours to read a few books on personal finance will pay you a higher hourly rate than your actual job ever will. It is the most profitable work you can do. Dave Ramsey has been making this point for decades in the Total Money Makeover. He says that financial education is not optional for high earners. It is essential, because the mistakes you can make are proportionally larger. A person earning $40,000 who makes a bad investment might lose $5,000. A person earning $400,000 who makes a bad investment might lose $500,000. The stakes are higher. The education is more important. Let me close with this thought. The ultimate luxury for a high earner is not a Porsche. It is autonomy. It is the ability to say no. When you keep your fixed costs low, you are buying the option to walk away. You are buying the ability to work part-time. You are buying the ability to take a sabbatical. You are buying the ability to leave a toxic job. In the medical world, burnout is rampant. Physicians are exhausted, demoralized, and trapped. But the doctors who are happiest are not the ones with the biggest houses. They are the ones who have financial independence money. They can practice medicine on their own terms because they do not need the paycheck to cover a $10,000 mortgage. They have decoupled their survival from their employer. That is true wealth. Vicki Robin wrote about this in Your Money or Your Life. She explains that money represents life energy. Every dollar you spend costs you a piece of your limited time on Earth. When you understand this, you stop buying things you do not need with life energy you cannot get back. You start buying freedom instead. Let me summarize everything. Lifestyle inflation is why hearing doctors feel broke. As income rises, spending rises in parallel, leaving net worth flat. The two lines on the graph move together, and wealth lives in the gap that does not exist. The fix is to separate the lines, cap your spending, let your income rise, shovel the difference into assets. Avoid the big three traps: house, car, and status signaling. Follow the 12-month rule: no fixed expense upgrades immediately after a raise. Automate your savings so you cannot sabotage yourself. Price things in freedom units, not dollars. Educate yourself so you do not get sold bad products. And remember, the most expensive thing you can buy is a lifestyle that requires you to work forever. Being a high earner is a privilege. It gives you a shovel big enough to dig yourself out of any hole, but it is also big enough to bury yourself. The choice is entirely defined by the gap between those two lines. Make the gap wide. That gap is your freedom. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you understand the lifestyle inflation trap, hit the like button and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, have you felt the pull of lifestyle creep? What is the one status item you almost bought but decided against? I will see you in the next one.